This is Elizabeth Genskow, and I'm going to give you a little presentation on organizational development. I've got my notes here. Hopefully it has got the correct information that we need. I found it from various different sources, but hopefully it'll give us a little bit of an idea of what exactly organizational development really is. So I'm going to break it down into the 5 things that were actually kind of requested that we look at. The first one is that explain what OD actually is. I found a really good little couple of sentences here that I think do a really good job of illustrating what actually ODE is. And it says, I'm just going to read it right off of what I've got here because I do think it's a good example of what it is. It's a field of research, and through theory, practice, and designated to expanding knowledge and effectiveness of people, we can accomplish more change and more performance. And I think the big thing to illustrate there is when it comes to organizational development, it's going to come into play with change and also performance. I think that were the 2 big terms there that I thought really hit a high point as to what we're actually trying to do. We're trying to do some sort of effective change to make things better than what they currently are at. I also ran into the term organizational change rather than organizational development, just because I think change is more exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to facilitate that and bring about something new. OD is a way to help various organizations improve what we have, and that can be either our policies, our leadership, our control, maybe just an entire job redesign, but it's all about helping things to make things better than what we've already got. So I think that's another big thing here. It's a way to fulfill a mission. We all have those mission, vision, values, and belief statements that we have. This is a good way to go about and actually try to facilitate that. Okay, so that's what I had for OD. For what is OD is that big organizational change, look to improve effectiveness, efficiency, looking at our missions, change, a lot of change. The second question that was asked of us is, how does it work? The first thing though, before you can do anything of this nature, is you have to recognize that there is a problem and it's going to impact our missions, who we are. There is something that needs to be changed, and that's the very first step that has to go. It may be just way of wanting to improve things, might not necessarily be a complete change, but let's make things better and improve upon what we already have. It works by assessing a situation. I take a step back and take a big picture as to what actually is going on with it. Nice way to assess what we're doing. That's another good thing for how it works. It's a way to plan an intervention. In order to make things change, we've got to step in and make a first step. OD is a great way to go about doing that. And then it can also assess how we did. Did it work? Did we need to continue on? Gives us an idea of what we need to do not only now, but also into the future. Our third thing was why changes in norms, structures, roles, and procedures are so essential to the effectiveness. And that's because OD, at the heart of it, it is change. Things can't improve without some sort of change being actually happening. If a group has pledged for improvement, you have to develop things, and that's where this is going to come into play. There has to be some sort of give and take with it. You can't just give it all out there and expect nothing back. Got to do some give and take about that. When I was kind of looking at this whole idea of why changes are so effective, we had, and we are still working on this, but a PLC group of ours is not functioning. It's very disorganized. things are not getting done. And so we wanted to start to do some of that. And so we've gone to some leadership training to kind of help us restructure and get some functionality going on with this group that we're working on. It's not there yet, but we're trying to it, and we're using this kind of plan of attack. Look at what where we are, where do we want to be, how are we going to get there. So I think that's been kind of when looking at all this information, it's kind of struck a bell with me, just because I've been kind of in some of that information already. Step number 4 here, I'm kind of already over time here, so I'll kind of whip through this as fast as I can. Typical designs were used by educators. Again, I found these on some other sources, so there may be some change in terminology that we may use between things. I think that's fine. It just gives a better understanding if somebody else can explain it another way. I already did that with my students today. I found another way of explaining electron configurations, and I gave it to them, and some of them got it better. So I think that's great. So design plans that would be thought of interventions. Term intervention is just, working with other groups of people. Okay, that's kind of the idea with intervention, is that you're working with something different, something new. There I have 4 sort of interventions that I have found here. The first one is interpersonal, and that's to enhance your own individual skills. And that might be knowledge, might be effectiveness, but it's your own personal research plan that you are coming into. You've recognized that something's maybe not going so well with you, and may need to do some changing. So that would be a good one, would be an interpersonal design. The next one that I had was the group design, where we help teams within an organization become more effective, and group members are starting to work closer and closer together. Intergroup is another one where we are facilitating cooperation and efficiency, and that can be between other groups. So the interpersonal was yourself, then you had a group, and then now we have this intergroup where we can mingle amongst other groups in there. The thing with this one, with intergroup, when you're mixing with a whole bunch of different other things, you have to consider conflict resolution, because we're working with, there are some strong voices in there, and there may be some conflict that arises, and we need to plan for that. If you're going to use a setting such as this, any type of group, really, any type you work with another person, you're going to come into some pull and tug with some other people. And the last one that I had was comprehensive, and that's where you take change into effect without looking at other people. And then the source that I found here is that this is using survey information. So handing out surveys, getting them back, taking a look at the results, and what do I need to do based on these survey results. So not working with other people, just kind of doing it secondhand. And the last thing was to look at the typical development stages that we have for OD. The first one that I found was simply be forming. How are you going to form these groups together? Okay, what are the experiences? What are impressions? Okay, what does each role want to clarify and define? The next one, it came under the terminology of both chaos and storming, and that's the whole time that things are going to clash. You've got a lot of different ideas. You're throwing everything out on the table. You're brainstorming. There's just a lot of different things that are all coming together. You've got conflict. You've got all these ideas, some good, some not so good. But you have to go through that stage. You have to have some uncertainty and turmoil associated with your plan that you're working on. Stability and norming would be another one, would be the next one. And that's when everybody's settled into your role. You went from this chaotic state down to a nice focused, everybody's working, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. Great little thing. Great stage to be at. Then performing would be my 4th state, and that's where you're carrying out what you set to do. Did you do what you want to do? And the last one would be considerations or adjourning, and that would be at the very end. Have you done what you set out to do? What is the future like? Could we consider maybe doing another OD cycle and figuring out what more to do. So yeah, so I would have forming, getting your group together, chaos, getting that whole brainstorming, the initial work through it, stability, settling into your roles, and then performing, actually going out and doing what you set to do, and then taking a look back, did I accomplish what I did? And that is what I have for OD on my end from what I have found out. So there we go, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.